I think more are going to continue to take place. There's some conversations about the game and the game's future that are happening by players that are saying, what the hell are we doing to football? I'm not alone. No. I'm very lucky to be alongside a great group of men. The Talk to Table is here at Boston Connor and at Ty Schmidt. Boys, they're saying football's changing.
Yeah, it feels like it is. And it's nice that everybody is coming out saying, hey, you're screwing the game over because we can't tackle anymore.
One half of the hammer, done. Cowboys, Tone Diggs is here. Tone, the city of Pittsburgh, founded on grit and toughness and football.
Hell yeah.
He's about to watch a different football going forward, and seems like everybody's pissed off about it that loves football.
Yeah. My days of, watching Jack Ham and me, Joe Green, and LC Greenwood just come through and
Debo.
Fully haymaker. Dudes, that's gone. But it's not even that, Pat. Just normal tackling is gone now.
Yeah, so now the NFL has decided in a unanimous decision is what we're hearing. Unanimous, which...
Come on.
This always seems to be the case with these NFL owners. Are always on the same page, even when they're not. Yep. Remember, they had a unanimous decision, and then Mark Davis walked outside and said, I hate it, and then walked out of the building. So we know that there was potentially some people in there who were football-minded people that said, we can't do this. Once we do this, what's next? Can't tackle guys when we're running next to them.
How about that?
We're going to ban hip drop tackles, which no football person has ever taught to anybody ever before. Well, now it's taking place. The hip drop tackle has been banned. What is the hip drop tackle? Well, it actually comes from a different sport. Rugby actually teaches and has the hip drop tackle, I do believe, or maybe they banned it before everybody else. What is happening in the NFL now is when you're running next to a guy or behind a guy, you can't unweight yourself. Okay, you can't unweight yourself. They rolled this video at the NFL owners meetings to kind of describe what it was and what can happen. And obviously some of these tackles look terrible. This is what's going to happen when people are moving 13, 14, 18, 20 miles an hour, and there are people being paid to tackle them on the defensive side of the ball. That one looks like a standard tackle. Right?
Yeah.
That's just a standard tackle. He unweighted himself. Okay. So now refs are going to have to decide in real time, did he tackle that guy or did he unweight himself and land on the bottom half of his leg? What are we doing? We're setting the refs up to be put in a position. Now, that's late hit. You could call that one as well, so it's already going to be a personal foul 15-yarder. But I think what they're trying to indicate is whenever you tackle and big ball doofus comes in through there, when you tackle and you land on the bottom of the legs is what they're trying to get rid of. And we understand the sentiment. Some of these tackles look nasty whenever a guy comes back. That's why they got rid of the
horse car.
The nameplate. Nameplate, because people were doing that. So we understand trying to get rid of that. But whenever you put this kind of broad hip drop tackle thing in where if you unweight yourself and you land on the bottom, you're putting a lot of judgment into these Stripes' hands. It's going to AFC Championship.
Oh, yeah. Huge play.
Fourth quarter.
Oh, my God.
Team A, which is how they do all the rules here, Team A, Team B. Team A is down by 2. They got the ball. 1:20 left in the game. No timeouts. They hit one over the middle. No timeouts. Snap, kill. First down, we're on our own 40. Another slant, boom, in the middle.
Jeez.
Tight end catches it. He's at the other 45. All of a sudden, he's running. What happens? He gets tackled. Boom, down. Ref throws. Stops clock. Moves them to the 30. Now, all of a sudden, they're in field goal range. This team goes to the Super Bowl. Why? Because a guy got tackled by the side. A guy fell back. Guys on the offense now are going to start.
Every time.
My. We didn't even think about guys with the ball in that competition committee. Did we, Rich McKay, who we're probably going to see tomorrow? Did we think about that? Where guys are going to be taught probably, hey, we can't say this in drills and we can't be doing this, but, you get tackle from the side or behind. You just kind of go ahead and throw
back.
And in the name of safety with brand new rule, we're going to get it. This is just a dumb decision. And this is just like the fair catch thing that happened with kickoffs last year where all the people that are around football are like, if they do this, what else will they do? If they do this, what else will they do? If you take away tackling somebody from the side, what else are they going to take away? J.J. Watt said, why don't you just go ahead and put the belt on now? Start putting the flags on. Why don't you just go ahead and do the two-hand touch right now? Why don't we put paint on everybody's hands so we can see if we get 2 hands on everybody? Why don't we stop tackling? Why don't we stop violence? Why don't we stop football being football? Because of this, I know the stats and analytics people are going to take a victory lap because they were the ones that are pissed off about the hip drop tackle even existing in the first place.
Of course.
But now that there's actually a rule about it, this is going to call for so many questions. There's going to be so many, he can't tackle anybody. That is going to happen. Every single big game. And let one of these doofus refs, not that all of them are. We're not saying that.
They're not all not doofuses, though.
Bingo. Now we got more judgment by the refs.
Yes.
What do we even do? It doesn't make any sense. Everybody seems to be pissed, and for good reason.
Well, and the worst part, too, is like Team A. Let's just say that's the Chiefs. And like we've been dealing with this script conversation the last, 2 years, 3 years. If the Chiefs are to benefit from something like this, that'll absolutely blow up every single type of, hey, the NFL is rigged for Mahomes. Like people will start believing that to a fuller extent because they already do think that. But if a team does benefit, or when a team benefits, it's going to be a huge problem for the NFL.
Okay, let's talk about good things that came out of the owners' meetings down there. The Detroit Lions pitched a challenge alternative about how if we win one of our challenges, we should be able to get a third challenge. Because the old rule used to be you get both your challenges right, okay, then you'll be awarded a third challenge. Now, obviously, I don't think they have decided on the final 2 minutes of the half, final 2 minutes of the game. We haven't heard any announcement by that. But now there is a change to the challenge rule. If you get one challenge right, you get your challenge back.
Smart.
Now, up to 3, obviously, but you don't have to win 2 anymore. This is good for football.
Good job.
Hell yeah.
This is good for football. Thank you, Dan Campbell.
Thank you, MCDC.
Thank you, Detroit Lions.
Hell yeah.
And I know you didn't win the Super Bowl, even though you thought you were going to this past season, but you did make the game better and make football better. Shout out to the owners' meetings and the competition committee for getting this passed. We do appreciate that.
Let's go.
Also, Eye in the Sky replay assistant is going to be able to do more now. Tom Pelissero just reported. The NFL competition committee chairman, Rich McKay, who this guy's got a lot to say, told me the replay assistant will now be permitted to correct certain types of incorrect calls for roughing the passer and intentional grounding. Must be purely objective, parenthesize, QB wasn't hitting head, was out of pocket, etc. So this is like whenever there's a potential intentional grounding, and you see the refs all come together and they're pointing at it, now they can get an assistant from the top being like, yep, there was a guy around, go ahead and pick up the call or not. Same thing with roughing it. This is good.
Yeah, that's good.
This is very good news. I like the assistant ref that's up in the sky to be able to fix things quicker. We saw it last season a lot more than we've ever seen in the past, where they say after further discussion, which means somebody that is not on this field, that has eyes on replays before we do, has told us that we should pick up this flag, so we are going to do as such. Now they're giving him more power. This is good, Ty. This is good, Ty Schmidt.
Yeah, it's absolutely good, but it also almost feels like with the hip drop, it's like, hey, because we're doing this, we got to concede a little bit somewhere else, which I'm not saying that's necessarily a bad thing, but it's ultimately, it's like, this is another one of those things where it's like, why wasn't this why is this just now happening? Like, this should have been instituted 5 to 10 years ago, and now, I mean, we'll take it.
We'll take it. We're happy.
We'll take it.
We're better late than never.
We'll take it, but it does feel like they're trying to babyface a little bit because they know how much people are going to be pissed off about the hip drop tackle.
The hip drop tackle is just so subjective. There was obviously some tackles in that video that they showed via Tom Pelissero that were like, ooh, that is not good. Don't need that in the game. But then there were some very standard looking tackles in that.
Yeah.
That if they were to call that, the refs, after what they were being told, it's like, this is going to get loud, going to get ugly, but whatever. You want to put more pressure on the stripes, you do what you got to do. You want to try to ruin the game? You want to take football out of football?
Can't do it.
Speaking of foot in football, they have tabled the new kickoff rules, potential vote until potentially May. Now, there's still some days down there, so who knows what they're going to get accomplished. Obviously, they're there till Wednesday, I do believe. But the kickoff rule, they changed it from what we learned last week with Coach Rizzi from the New Orleans Saints, which is pretty... It kind of ruins the whole...
point.
It changes the whole thing. Kind of.
Drastically.
Tom Pelissero said the NFL competition committee met today and unanimously approved a tweak to the proposed NFL hybrid kickoff rule, making touchbacks that go into the end zone on the fly come out to the 30 rather than the 35 per source. The change provides kicking teams a less punitive option if they don't want to take a chance on a long return. The adjusted rule proposal will be presented to owners for a possible vote Monday morning. Now, that might happen today. They said they might table it until May as well. They assume that this is going to be enacted before next season is what we have been told, but moving it to the 30 instead of the 35 if you kick a touchback straight, where it used to just come out to the 25. 5 yards is not that big of a difference. 10 yards is a first down. Now that's a little bit different mindset. Starting at the 35 versus your own 30. I think teams are just gonna
just boot it.
First thought.
The whole thought was that if you make it tough to the 35. Like, hey, do you want to just give the team the ball at the 35?
Can't.
Or do you want to potentially cover this whole thing? That's going to force 1,600 more plays, is what we are being told, because kickers are going to be forced to land it in the landing zone pretty much. We don't want to just blast it out of there and get it at the 35. That's bad news for our coverage team, bad news for our team as a whole, quite a weapon for them. So them moving that to the 30 just doesn't, it feels like it defeats the entire point of the entire play and what they were looking to do, but I might be wrong. Maybe people will say 30 instead of 25. Nah, not in our house. I think they're just going to boot it out still, and the new starting drive start is just going to be the 30 for most teams.
I'm glad you had the same thought, because obviously I was not in a special teams room every single day like you were. But like when this first came out, I said 25 versus 30. Like, these guys are just going to tell them to put it through the end zone still. Like, that was my first initial thought. And the whole thing was they wanted to flip the percentage of, it was 20% returns or whatever it was last year, and they wanted it to be 80% returns this year. I don't think this is going to be like a 50-50 thing either. This feels like, hey, just put it through the end zone.
Yeah, screw it. We're all starting at the 30 now.
Yeah.
That's just kind of how it's going, which is not what, it was supposed to eliminate that.
Right.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
Completely.